Now, as you probably saw, I was at the Labor Party function on Saturday night. The boss obviously hates me, but actually thank you to everyone there for looking after us. While I got some glares and a little bit of abuse, most people, of course, were welcoming and pretty eager to discuss political issues. And I love being there for a bit of history. Always like to see a bit of political history live. Anthony Albanese's speech, I reckon, was well pitched. And his rise is a great story about egalitarian Australia and the promise and opportunity in this nation. Some of the stuff he proposes I oppose strongly. Some of it worries me. But there's one initiative that many of you oppose, I know, but which you know I support.
Together, we can embrace the Uluru Statement from the Heart. We can answer its patient, gracious call for a voice enshrined in our Constitution.
Yep, I support Indigenous recognition in the Constitution and a voice to Parliament. Many of you don't, but this is not a Labor policy. This is not an initiative owned by the Labor Party. Many Conservative politicians and thinkers have been involved in developing this. It's an idea that has broad support, of course, from Indigenous Australians. There's been a great consensus around it from Indigenous Australians. So it's an idea that belongs to the nation. And I'll keep talking about it with people who support it and those who oppose it or are sceptical about it, including Jacinta Nampijinpa Price, who's a friend of mine and who I was so pleased was voted into the Senate in the Northern Territory on the weekend. Here she is from Paul Murray Live last night.
I'm interested in fixing those really critical problems, not being the champion of some other symbolic gesture, and so they can go down in history to say that they provided the opportunity for a voice to Parliament and those sorts of things.
Now, OK, Jacinta and I are going to continue to discuss this over dinner, as we have had previously, and also on the show tomorrow night. But there's two things I'd like people to keep in mind when it comes to this Indigenous voice issue. And first is that it should not be a symbolic issue. It's about ending disadvantage, lifting education, creating jobs, improving healthcare. It's all about those practical issues that Jacinta is rightly focused on. The voice will give Indigenous Australians a say, just a chance to make some recommendations and have a say on those special laws and decisions the government takes for Indigenous Australians. So it's about a fair go, and it is practical. The other point is about the claim from some that this voice will divide Australians. That's just not true. Don't let it divide Australians. The federal government has the power to make laws and decisions for Indigenous Australians, and it does. A voice will just give those same Indigenous Australians a say on those matters. That's all. That is fair. That is not divisive. What is divisive is trying to pretend this is a third chamber or that it creates a racial divide in Australia. It'll do nothing of the sort. The Coalition need to get back, of course, to their conservative roots, that's for sure. But conservatism can also be compassionate and practical. The only way the voice becomes symbolic or divisive is if Conservatives turn their backs on the discussion and refuse to engage in a sensible debate. Conservatives believe in a fair go, and they can make sure an Indigenous voice is practical and fair. Let's not let Labor own this. Let's not let it become partisan. Let's grab the chance for a voice to bring people together, not divide them.